Alright y'all, let's get right into this movie review for Beetlejuice. So Tim Burton is the director yet again. He also worked on the first Beetlejuice, which came out all the way back in 1988. And I'm gonna be honest, I haven't watched the first film and I went into the sequel completely blind other than what I saw in the trailers. So does this film still work for those who haven't seen the first film? Absolutely. Are there still reoccurring elements and fan service you might miss out on without having prior knowledge from the previous film? Yeah, definitely. But all in all, I didn't really find this to be a problem when going straight into the sequel, so if you're worried about having to watch the first film, I'd say you don't have to worry too much. Now to start off with the positives, the Beetlejuice world, visually speaking, is a creative spectacle. It's really hard to get these types of visual representation in modern takes of Hollywood films, so seeing this on the big screen in 2024 was a pretty darn unique and refreshing cinematic experience. It's a Tim Burton style of film through and through, so if you're always a fan of his stylistic choices, you're certainly not missing out with this film. It's just plain evident that a lot of heart and soul went into the creative aspects for this sequel, whether it be the character designs, set designs, or the way many actions and sequences play out throughout the story. There are plenty of visual segments to thoroughly enjoy here, especially the golden moments where Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice steps in to shine bright. But how good is the story for this sequel? This is where my biggest disappointment lies. There's not much happening in this narrative or the characters that are introduced to help make this world more engaging. It's stylistically nutty and off the rails, which will have many viewers hooked visually, but from a story standpoint, I expected something much more cohesive and impactful than what we're given here. To start off, there are many characters that don't get refined as the story progresses other than being there to serve a singular purpose, so there are plenty of side characters that just come off as dull. There's also some specific buildup of conflict that slowly escalates in this story, which I won't get into for spoiler's sake, but these conflicts either don't amount to much by the end, or just don't make any logical sense. It's absurd and not in a good way. And I know Beetlejuice loves to throw logic out of the equation, and the visual representation of that is one I thoroughly enjoyed witnessing on screen. But deciding to throw logic completely out of the narrative isn't my favorite decision for this entire film package, which unfortunately makes my overall score end up scaling towards the negative side of the spectrum. For me personally, I don't think a film being visually artistic and incredibly creative is enough for me to merit a higher score, especially when the core narrative is lacking. I don't know. Maybe there are lots of throwbacks to the 1988 film that I didn't have the nostalgia factor for to boost this narrative experience. But yeah, the story just didn't do it for me by the time credits rolled, especially to justify a third film if there ever is one. My final score for Beetlejuice is 6.5 out of 10. Again, Tim Burton created another visual masterpiece here. I think there's still fun to be had for people into his style of filmmaking and those who have enjoyed his first film. As a matter of fact, I can still see this being a good night out, especially if you're just wanting to watch something new and like films that don't take itself too seriously, which I think most audience members nowadays tend to find more enjoyment in anyways. There's enough for me to justify this being a one-time cinematic experience at the theaters. But the bare-bone aspects of the narrative, characters, and the slight pacing issues in the first and second act keep me from granting this film any higher praise. Thank you for checking this review out. I've got more reviews already posted in this channel and have more coming soon in the upcoming weeks, so stay tuned and I shall see you on the next review in the Cinematic Experiences channel. Until then, peace.